Welcome to the Building Web3 podcast. Today I have my good friend Ian. He is the DAO lead and head of grants for Push. Real quick, before we get into Push, tell us a little bit about your come to crypto moment. How did you get into this Web3 world?
Yeah, happy to be here, Jax. Thank you. My crypto story is similar to some and definitely different from some as well. I was a ESL teacher, certified in the Czech Republic, teaching kids, adults, really all sorts of ages. And my girlfriend and I walked into a random provincial library near where we were living at the time. And I was just really looking for some English language book to read. Sounds funny to those who may be like living in America, but it's a commodity in certain places. So I walked in there, went to the small English language book section, looked down, and literally randomly my eyes fell upon the book Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper, which is an OG Bitcoin / crypto book at this point. This was 2016. I read that in 24 hours, and the rest continues from there. I'll pause for a moment, but that's how it began. So I was a teacher. I read that book. I read the Bitcoin white paper actually before I pause. And then I just started diving in, writing for free, just writing and writing and writing until it took off from that point. From the writing, it was the best way to do it because I sort of had to read and write out different paths and different thoughts about the industry to figure out where I belonged, if that makes sense. Because over time, I grew from a content writer at an exchange, for example, to a PR junior marketer person at another exchange, worked for probably 10 to 20 other projects in different ways. And then I laddered up to essentially full-scale marketing at Serotonin, the consultancy, for 2 years. And that's where things took off even further because at the same time I was advising 2 startups, working with many different social impact DAOs and other decentralized communities. And as far as my client list, managing anywhere between 8 and 15 clients at a time. I don't know how I did it, but I did do that for 48 months.
So just to clarify, you were working at Serotonin, which is a marketing agency / it's kind of like PR as well. And then you were also on the side running an agency or just working for Serotonin?
Freelancing on the side. And to be more specific, the freelancing was basically twofold at that point, not really the content writing. It was structuring DAOs and decentralized communities was the one part. And then I was advising 2 startups to seed funding.
Very, very interesting. And then tell us about why you ended up joining Push and kind of your role there.
Yeah, so I actually ended up joining Push. I feel like I was kind of always going to join Push now that I think about it, because they were a client of Serotonin back when I was there. I knew about them. I heard good things about them. I was interested in what they were doing. Then another year went by and I started feeling the itch kind of to ladder up from marketing to more DAO related things, more in the weeds community building. So I was looking for opportunities and I came upon Push and they were hiring someone to instigate and run their DAO with the community. And it just all sort of fell into place from there. I'll credit a lot of friends for helping me figure out all sorts of things that got me to that point. But Push just felt right. I did the interview and then 24 hours later, we were off to the races.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So for people that are unfamiliar, what is Push? What is the mission there?
Yeah, so Push at the simplest possible level, because there's a lot of ways, of course, to get into the technical deep dive there. At the simplest possible level, Push is a set of rules in code and a set of contracts in code, aka software, that allow you to connect wallet to wallet, wallet to dApp, wallet to protocol, wallets to network, and communicate directly on chain. When I say connect and communicate directly on chain, I mean through direct messaging, through token gated group chats, but also through announcements made from networks, protocols, or dApps to their communities as well. So it's a communications hub in software. We are basically. that allows all sorts of messaging and dApps to enrich themselves with our rules and our ways of messaging.
Yeah, so let's walk through some of the use cases in case people are having a difficult time visualizing this. Talk to us a little bit about some of like the core use cases. So we talked about like messaging, we talked about like token gated group chats. Talk to us a little bit about like maybe even some of the clients you guys have and how they're utilizing Push.
Yeah. So we have, first of all, over 700 different kinds of integrations with the protocol to date, 100 million plus notifications and messages sent altogether. And what I would call our integrations range from DEXs and DeFi related things and projects to Web3 gaming to DAOs to social protocols like Lens, which is doing quite well with us and sending a lot of notifications, to even just channels like Wallet Tracker or Ethereum Gas Tracker, where you can go in there and just see what the ETH gas price is at any time. And it just real-time updates. The key to all of that is all of our integrations are focused on real-time updates and real-time messaging on-chain.
So let's say I'm going to make a new application. I'm going to call it the Jax protocol. And talk to me a little bit about some of the things that might be interesting to Jax protocol in terms of like notifications or how one might use push to, better serve users.
Yeah. So I've actually had other podcasters and similar people come to me with real propositions like that. So I can definitely speak to that. One podcaster came to me and said he was building a brand where he would better connect with his fans. And one thing he would like with that when he builds everything out that he wants to build out is an app and a place where he can just easily go in and talk to his fans directly at any time without any worry and any centralized control. Hence the need for a push channel there. That would be step one, starting a push channel where you can talk to your fans wallet to wallet on chain anytime without any company in between that can shut you down. Another element of that can be interesting over time for podcasters or anyone with a strong brand is our token gated or NFT gated group chats. Many people and projects on Unstoppable Domains are using that with us right now, for example. And that's pretty powerful because it allows you to set another level of interaction that can play out in a lot of richer ways where you can have your VIP fans closer to you if they hold a certain NFT or if they hold your token, and they can get access to news about things happening in your orbit faster than others, or shows you're doing, live shows or other kinds of rewards. So token gated group chats are definitely interesting in that way. But a third element I'll mention that's interesting for everyone looking to dig into Push is that we also have a grants program where you can go far beyond just integrations. And we're looking for projects and dApps and everyone who are thinking deeper, are thinking, okay, I see how these integrations work, but what else can I do with the tech stack? What kind of future app, social media app can I create with the Push tech stack and something else put together? What kind of thing that people need in any way online can I create with the help of the Push tech stack? In other words, we also have a grants program where it's all about Push apps.
And talk to us a little bit about like maybe so how people can help visualize it. What have you guys previously given grants for in terms of like creating new apps or creating like educational experiences or maybe dApps themselves?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, when we started, we were wider. Of course, it's natural to be that way with grants programs and crypto, especially in the early days. Wider meaning you support education, you support things like bug bounties, gaming, social media, DeFi, the list goes on. You support just about everything and kind of, as they say in the VC world, spray and pray in different ways across all sectors. But again, that's natural early on. Now we've honed it in a lot. And mainly what we focus on is step one, mini grants for integrations, as we've been talking about, starting channels on Push or starting real-time notifications on a DEX or something like that, or in a DAO for all members using our tech. That's step one. And then the second part of our focus is the other thing I mentioned. How can you make your efforts into something like a Push app, something that imagines a deeper usage for the Push tech stack? Knowing that we facilitate real-time communications on chain, what else does that facilitate? Do you want to make an even richer social network than anyone's tried in crypto so far that actually has that kind of reliable messaging? Do you want to go even deeper and think about something like a new form of email? We're really looking for breakthrough ideas there. And of course, it takes time, but that'll be announced more at the start of 2025.
Very interesting. And what do you think is kind of missing from the existing SocialFi apps? With Warpcaster and Lens come to mind, but what do you think is the gap there?
One of the gaps is simpler than some people think. People think about the tech gaps all the time. What technological things can we do that we're not doing? But where I see the bigger gap is with features or just solving a need, like any app anywhere, even outside of crypto, does, that breaks through and has incredible success. Think about, even though it's sort of a really awful thing to say sometimes in crypto, think about something like Instagram. Why do people even care about it at all? Why do people keep using it? One of the reasons is because their friends are there. Another reason is because for some people, the validation they get of being there and sharing their experiences with people. Another reason is because people have brands and they feel like they can monetize with brand deals and stuff well there. So in a way, what I'm getting at is, one gap is we need to also learn from Web 2 in the sense of solving for not just tech, but for features and a need, and connected to that, as I also kind of suggested, community, meaning it feels like a sort of third place, like they say, or a sort of another home for people. And they continue to congregate there and bring more of their friends in there because it just feels right to be there. It sounds nebulous, me saying that, but I really do believe the heart of something that we're missing right now with dApps is we need to think even more about this idea of, for example, what Alexis Ohanian said a few years ago now, minimum viable community before minimum viable product.
Yeah, to me, it's quite interesting. I actually was talking about this with Iris.xyz earlier about some of the gaps in SocialFi. And if I look at something like Farcaster, I actually don't think it's particularly intuitive, where it's like it's almost like Twitter had a baby with Reddit. And obviously we're talking about Workcaster here. Lens I have not yet tried, but like, yeah, there's just even social media in general. Like, think about how many apps are truly social media. I don't know if you consider YouTube social media. There's Facebook, there's Twitter. Those are actually social platforms, but it's pretty hard to build social media. And when the only value prop is, from my point of view, from like a Farcaster, is like, hey, you can connect with crypto people. It's like, yeah, I can do that on Twitter. Or it's like, hey, you can own your audience. Maybe that's a little bit more interesting. I don't know. I don't know if we've solved the gap of like getting normies in, but maybe I'm.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. And just quickly to mention that, because I couldn't agree more, the other element, the other gap, which we sort of suggested, but you just mentioned directly, is the gap in UX, which can't be overstated. You just said they're not intuitive enough. They're not even close to intuitive, basically. And I couldn't agree more. For example, we love Farcaster. We love everyone in the space. It sounds funny, but we don't lock anyone out. That's why we have 700 integrations. We believe we can all work together. However, that doesn't mean we think we're all perfect. One thing we believe very strongly is everyone in crypto could be focused a lot more on intuitive UX and things like account abstraction, or anything you can do to put the crypto on the back end and take away the complexity for the user. Again, it sounds kind of nebulous, kind of general, me saying that, but it's still true. Any effort, any element that you use to get closer to that point, closer to the intuitiveness of household apps, of the Facebooks, of Instagrams, of the WhatsApps, the better off we are. And no, I'm not saying we need to be centralized like they are or have the censorship resistance they have. Not at all. We believe in decentralized, community-owned communications. But at the same time, that doesn't mean we can't learn from their approach to UX.
Yeah. Are there any particular, now you mentioned account abstraction. Are you particularly interested in things like intents or like gas abstraction? Or are there any particular technologies you think like, hey, this is really going to open up Web3 to Web2 users?
Across the board on our team, we're interested in just about everything, meaning practically we're open to implementing any of that tech that exists where it makes sense, and we're actively exploring that and actively working on that already. However, I'll also particularly mention I really like Intense. I think there's a lot there to simplifying the user flow with that kind of approach to anything you can do with Intense.
Yeah, I'm writing docs for an Intense company right now. It's quite interesting to see all the abstraction efforts. And when you focus a lot on abstraction efforts, you realize how clunky regular crypto UX is. It's like the second you open a wallet, it's like, here's a giant seed phrase that if anyone finds out, yeah, all your funds are stolen. You're like, yeah, that can't be people's first interaction with crypto. Come on.
No, that's one thing. I definitely agree there. Another thing we believe that I didn't quite make explicitly clear at the beginning, but it's important, is that just like, email and things like that have become the de facto ID across the web with all the single click logins that there are now, we believe the same will occur with wallets. And that's, of course, why we started with wallet-to-wallet communications. One of the reasons, because we always believed that wallet will be the ID. However, in saying that, I'm also agreeing with you. The ID is also not going to be that randomized string of letters and numbers. It's going to be human readable. It's going to be made that way on the front end, at least.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think about because the wallet as a building block is interesting to me. I don't know how well it will turn out unless people. Well, I've seen kind of Particle do this. Is they've linked essentially your let's say your Gmail or your email, and then that creates a wallet kind of under the hood for you. So I could see that where actually your email, oddly enough, is then the building block, and then the wallet is sub created underneath that. I just don't know if normal people will associate their wallet unless it's creating a domain. How do you kind of think that would play out?
That's one good analogy to use, honestly. That's something that I've said before. It equates to creating a domain, to having the same things and more inside of your wallet. Of course, unstoppable domains and ENS and things like that are examples of it, of making that sort of integration. We're big fans of both, and we have a lot of deep work we're doing with unstoppable domains at this time. But yeah, it's not going to be easy at all. Let me be explicitly clear on that too, for sure. It's not going to be easy to onboard normal people like that, because they will ask those questions like, why wouldn't I just keep using my email? Why do I need this wallet thing? And we're going to have very rich, detailed answers to those questions.
Yeah, or it could be very similar. I don't know if you follow the Ton ecosystem at all, but essentially how each Telegram now essentially has a wallet associated with it if they use the @wallet bot. So maybe that will be the future, where it's they don't even have to think about it. With their Gmail will come a wallet, or with their Telegram will come a wallet. So TBD on all that. But talk to us a little bit about the DAO, because I know you're the lead there. So talk to us a little bit about what the DAO is, what it does, and your guys' goals there.
Yeah. So first of all, I think that's a great example. I just don't want to miss out on that, because I think you're right. We need to think of ways like that to deal with the wallet question. So push chats would be another example, like those Telegram chats, integrating a wallet into push chats, making it just like you go into this app and you go into the push app and you just have your wallet and everything in the channels that you're subscribed to. That kind of bundling really helps the user, like we're talking about, would really help normal people get behind these technologies that we're building out, these applications, these experiences that we're building out. Now, as far as where the DAO comes in, from day one, we've always believed in this decentralization of communications, meaning at the ownership level too. So the DAO was always planned as the major vehicle for that effort. However, we also believe in progressive decentralization. So to put that even more simply, it's step by step. There's a very well-intentioned long-term and short-term plan, multiple plans put together leading to that point that are going on right now. And where that plays out in practice, right now, the DAO is a growth vehicle for the ecosystem. The DAO controls everything about ecosystem grants. The DAO also helps out with efforts related to marketing and BD and related things. So in its phase one this year, that's what it is. And next year, it'll grow into a lot more. And one of the beautiful things about that is we have the governance system in place. So a lot of what that is, or will be, to put it better, a lot of what the DAO will be next year will be fully decided by the community. I can't even say, because I can't just vote by myself and say, this is what it's going to be. It already is decided by the community.
Yeah, and talk to us a little bit about how people get involved with the community and can like be a part of it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy, and we're always working on making it easier. We're open to all sorts of people, not just developers. We have a Charmverse. We have a forum, which is easily searchable. Just if you search Push Protocol Forum, it's right there in the top results. Or we're very open in the DAO, more than some, I would say, in crypto. So we are very public. Everyone kind of knows what our Twitters and our Telegrams are. Mine are both the same, Expat Crypto 3, Expat Crypto 3. And I just talk to people one to one. One thing we like, for example, about Farcaster is how Dan Romero onboarded the first few hundred users himself, just in DMs and stuff like that. That's an analogy we could make here. We're still onboarding the first contributors to the DAO, just one to one in a lot of cases like that. And over this year, our contributor base has grown by over 200%. So it's been quite good so far.
And what kind of contributors, because, we have listeners to the podcast, what kind of contributors do you want? Is it like people that are slinging code? Is it, founders? Is it who do you want involved?
The beautiful thing is, first of all, both of those types of people we want, but I would add to that and say we also want the marketing minds. We also want the writers. We even want the legal types or lawyers. We want and believe that everyone has a place with us. We even have designers in the DAO already.
Yeah, it's nice to hear. And then talk to us a little bit. Well, actually, sorry, before I get into your guys' milestones, I have to, because you brought up and continued on the Ton point. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if the Facebook Libra project was never killed. And I know like people are like, oh, centralized entity, but it's like, think about how much like wallet adoption there could have been if that project was never killed off. It's like every Facebook user got a wallet. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I do actually. Back in 2016, 2017, I was in one of the first cohorts of the MIT executive program on blockchain innovation. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because Christian Catalini from Libra was one of the teachers there. So I saw Libra in its early stages. I thought there was promise in that way. It could lead to a lot of adoption. But me being the sort of DAO rebel that I am, I was immediately like, oh, so much centralization trying to destroy the crypto ethos. So there was that war in my mind. However, we at Push do think that efforts like that can lead to a lot of adoption from the global populace. Yeah. And we also do believe that while we are full crypto, efforts like that will happen over time, even though Libra failed, and we'll all exist together in different ways.
Yeah, because I look at something like Blinks coming out of Solana, and I'm like, could you have that in Twitter, where it's like, all right, there's pieces of crypto within like centralized platforms, TBD on all that, but it's something that I could see in the future where we have these like hybrid babies, where it's like some parts centralized, some parts not, and then the more until we make decentralized stuff as easy as centralized things, it's going to be an uphill battle.
This is what I was echoing, though. I'm glad you said that. When I kept mentioning all that stuff about improving UX or making it as easy as possible for the normal people, that's the gist of all of what I meant. Exactly what you just said. Couldn't have said it better. But also, just a quick note mentioning Solana. We love Solana. We've been getting a lot of questions about when push on Solana, when can all the Solana apps use push? And the answer is we're shooting for very early next year, and we're working very hard on it because we definitely want to be there.
Yeah, it's definitely an ecosystem I'm particularly bullish on. I'm getting more bullish on it by the more projects I interview in that space. But talk to us a little bit about some of the like milestones. You mentioned like obviously you guys are trying to get Solana on board. Talk to us what people can kind of expect in the next like 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah. One of the exciting things is that, first of all, the Push Points program is ongoing right now. And there's a lot of stigma around points in crypto with good reason in a lot of cases. However, what I can say and what I'm, quote, allowed to say at this point is that this program will lead to something that is valuable for the people involved in the case of just tangibility, a tangible result. So I can say that. And then secondly, Push Points is step one of a big evolution we're undergoing technically that also includes launching full nodes and validators is a part of that, validating storage and delivery nodes. So that's in the next few months, the launch of nodes. Push points will continue through that time. Like you said, Solana early next year. The DAO will be transitioning its grants program fully to what I mentioned, push apps and prioritizing all the rebel thinkers, so to speak, pushing boundaries with what you can do with our tech and what the future of social and everything online looks like. So I'm excited about that. And I'm just generally as well excited that we are growing and we continue to grow. Every metric I'm looking at is like 100% plus, for example, on the DAO side. So I couldn't be happier about our growth. And just a quick call out. I meant what I said. We never lock anyone out. We're not tribalistic, or however you want to say that. So anyone interested in integrating with Push can reach out to me, can reach out to any member of the team, and we'll get you started and figure out the feasibility of a timeline and all the practicalities.
Absolutely. Well, one thing we always like to ask people, because we have a lot of builders that listen to the podcast, is there an area of Web3 that you feel like is underdeveloped or like would make for a good startup?
Yeah, I'm going to mention my sort of pet area in that respect. First of all, at least, my area that I believe is underdeveloped are the area of pushing DAOs further. So what do I mean by that? I mean, think beyond DAOs as an investment vehicle, think beyond DAOs as charities, think beyond the most common use cases, and I want to see more. So I'm very passionate about ideas like DAO of DAOs to scale grants in our industry further than ever before, or like we kind of mentioned, a fully DAOified social network that actually prioritizes an intuitive user experience and has good monetization and solves for the cold start problem very well from day one. So it has a good level of creators there. That would be another example. And then last but not least at all, I'm a musician, so I want to see more out of the music space. I do not believe it's dead. I just believe we have to think even further. We have to build with artists, and I'll be even more specific there. I would like to see a team with a couple crypto natives and a couple artists and people like that all working together on a Web3 music app. And even thinking about that makes me super bullish, actually.
Absolutely. Well, there's some exciting things that for the builders to jump on, but I'd recommend everyone go get involved with Push, go start building, go get involved with the DAO, and let's continue building the future of Web3.